Good afternoon to you all that are joining us by social media on Sunday afternoon. We have called this press briefing to speak to you about various matters relating to the case that is coming up on Tuesday, 10th December 2024. This is a matter that you are all aware of. Kada Michelo Chizombe petitioned the former president, Zambia's 6th president, Edgar Lungu, about his eligibility to stand as a presidential candidate in 2021 and future elections. This is a case of Michelo Chizombe. This is Edgar Lungu as first respondent, the Electoral Commission of Zambia that had admitted President Lungu as a candidate, and the Attorney General who represents government. The matter has been heard in full. There is judgment that has been scheduled for 10th December 2024. I've got the Patriotic Front Secretary General, Honorable Raphael Nakacinda, who will speak to the two developments. You are aware that the Chief Justice, Honorable Dr. Mumba Malila, issued instructions earlier in the week that the eligibility case that is coming up on Tuesday, 10th December 2024, will be broadcast live. This is historical. This has never happened. We follow the British law, English, Wales, and the Commonwealth law, where our courtrooms are barred from recordings, videos, or live broadcasts. So this is unprecedented. The Secretary General of the Patriotic Front, Honorable Raphael Nakacinda, will be speaking to that and these implications and the concerns from the Patriotic Front. Yesterday, the other day, the Inspector General of Police, Honorable Graphael Musamba, issued a statement, a very strong statement, warning that they will not allow people to come to the Supreme Court grounds to come and hear that case. He said the matter is being broadcast live by ZNBC, and he urged all political players, members of the public, to stay home and hear it from broadcast. As a political party and as a party to who has our presidential candidate in Edgar Lungu, we have an interest. So the Secretary General will be speaking to those remarks by Mr. Musamba, Inspector General of Police. And recently, just the other day, the United States government has issued its annual country report on human rights and human rights abuses. And we have the country report for Zambia. We are offering comments on that over the findings of the U.S. government on Zambia's practice of human rights. At this stage, I'd like to greet you, Honorable SG, Honorable you are not Graphael Musamba, you are Raphael Nakacinda. And I invite you to speak to members of our public on the various issues that you have prepared in light of what is happening on Tuesday.
Thank you very much, Ambassador and Chair for Information and Publicity in the Patriotic Front. And good afternoon to our viewers, wherever you're catching us from. It's a short press briefing. Allow me to begin by, first of all, once again, congratulate Botswana for a very successful electoral process that culminated into the election of Advocate Duma Boko under the umbrella for democratic change. Even when there were attempts for certain things to happen, the harassment of a former president, eventually the people's will in Botswana prevailed. Same goes for President Trump under the Republican Party, who through many difficulties, attempts to use the legal system and processes to try and bar him, but eventually the will of the people of the U.S. prevailed, and President Donald Trump emerged victorious out of the American elections. today we are sitting with another development in Namibia that underscores the entrenchment of democracy on the continent of Africa, when our sister party SWAPO has attained victory by having President Nandi Ndaitwah being elected as the first female president in the Republic of Namibia, and obviously in the SADC region. She's the first female president that has ascended to that office. There is once again news of Ghana doing it again, having a former ruling party and a former president in President John Mahama emerging victorious in the elections that were conducted yesterday, and accounts from last evening to today has even compelled the ruling party candidate in Vice President Baumia conceding defeat to the former President John Mahama. Congratulations to the people of Ghana, congratulations to the former ruling party, and we are very confident that in Zambia, as we have demonstrated in the last 30-something years, from the time we reintroduced multi-party democracy, that the people of Zambia's will prevail over the mingaratos and manipulations and shenanigans of a clique of individuals. Allow me to not only raise concern but condemn some of the recent developments expressed, first of all, from the judiciary. One, the sudden decrees and pronouncements that have come through the office of the Chief Justice. It looks like this trend has continued. We first of all condemned and advised the Chief Justice when, after the President made a pronouncement for the need to create a special court, to which he was saying we need to have people tried within 5 months, they go to jail. We saw the Chief Justice issuing out a gazette notice without having to change or put in place a law through an act of parliament, so that these courts are created based on a law. Of course, in an introspective manner, later on we saw an introduction of a bill to parliament to try and normalize that development. As it were, we have now a situation where the Chief Justice has made a pronouncement to allow the broadcasting of the delivery of the judgment on the eligibility case of President Edgar Lungu live on public, through the public media as well as the private media. Of great concern is the fact that we have information of some of the private media houses that were called in by the UPND, given a task to try and advance a particular narrative, and they've been able to pay to have that undertaken. That is very concerning for every patriotic Zambian. What narrative are the UPND wanting to advance if they are not even aware or privy to the pronouncement of the court? What is happening? Is there any collaboration in that regard? Those are the questions that are troubling on the minds of many Zambians. And equally, we are asking that same question. The decision by the Chief Justice to broadcast the judgment, even having not allowed the media to undertake such an activity or the broadcasting, the entire process from the the beginning of the case, so that all the arguments and eventually the submissions that were made that will inform the decision that the court has to make on this 10th of December, having not been broadcasted. We see that the tail end of the process is what somehow is allowed to be broadcast, even against the law. In this case, I'm referring to the Contempt of Court Act, chapter number 38 of the laws of Zambia, that forbids, as we see today, the broadcasting by video, audio, the proceedings as they are taken or are being undertaken in the courtroom. This decree seems to suggest that the Chief Justice donating to him powers, to himself powers he doesn't have. Because if he wanted, just like the guidelines had been indicated a few months ago, that the court, the judiciary in Zambia is considering beginning to allow, high-profile cases to be broadcast, it should have been by way of changing the law first. It cannot be by decree by the Chief Justice, because even him as Chief Justice is not above the law. So we find this suggesting that there is a deliberate move to try and advance a particular narrative favoring a political clique within the ruling party. And in this case, we can only but refer to the fact that the person who is interested in this matter is one that competed with President Edgar Lungu in 2021, and he is poised to actually compete with President Edgar Lungu in 2026, and is dead scared and wants President Lungu not to be on the ballot. And those are the concerns that we have. We had the matters in the recent past of serious public interests, like the gold scandal case that involved the Egyptians and some names that were mentioned locally, where a luxury plane costing over $40 million was impounded at our airport, at Kenneth Kaunda Airport. We expected that a matter of that nature would be given the coverage that it needed for the people of Zambia to understand what is going on when it comes to such transactions on the soils of the Republic of Zambia. But instead, this case, the choice of the judiciary, they said in national interest and security or whatever it is, they were going to have this matter heard secretly, away from cameras and even away from journalists reporting on the same matter. How is it that this eligibility case has generated so much interest? There have been two schools of thought: those who have condemned this development and those who seem to be celebrating this development. For those who are celebrating this development, they are singing from the hymn book of the UPND, because as far as they are concerned, they want a particular narrative that will capture the minds of the Zambian people without getting into the details and the intricacies of some of the issues that have been raised in court itself when the matter was being heard. And the others who the school of thought are saying, no, if this was anything meant in good faith, the whole process should have been heard by way of having broadcast from the beginning to the end, because the Zambian people needed to understand the arguments over this case for them to arrive at a conclusion whether or not what is to be pronounced on Tuesday is anything standing on terra firma in terms of the law and so on. The other matter is basically the press briefing that our old man Graphael Musamba issued. We have stated time and again that this man is ancient in terms of the approach to policing in the Republic of Zambia. His mindset, and possibly the time that he was trained, it was under the one-party state. But now we are in a multi-party democracy system of governance, where you expect the police to advance the rule of law and not to advance lawlessness. What Mr. Raphael Musamba said yesterday is against the law. There is no law in the Republic of Zambia that forbids citizens of the Republic of Zambia to go and attend the court to hear a matter, and including the judgment in a matter that they have an interest. Mr. Musamba cannot tell us that the Zambian people have no interest and would not want to physically go to the court to go and hear what their courts are going to say concerning this matter that borders on the decisions they made in 2021 and also the pending decisions that they had to make through the vote in 2026. What he said yesterday is basically promoting lawlessness as IG. You can't stop people from attending courts that are open to the public. For over 60 years, Zambians have always congregated at the High Court anywhere in this country, whether it's in Livingstone, whether it is in Dola, whether it is in Kitwe, whether now that we have provincial high courts, everywhere people, when there is a matter of public interest, will go and gather peacefully and listen and follow the proceedings. If the courts cannot accommodate everybody in the courtroom itself, they would hang around peacefully, and Zambians are peaceful. And therefore, we find his pronouncement to bar people and his continued exhibition of wanting to promote that those who are exhibiting dictatorial tendencies in the UPND, starting with Lusaka-Sunday, should be given a free lane by the police to exhibit a full-blown dictatorial government that has been condemned already internationally, as Honorable Emmanuel Mumba will be able to speak to it. Our view on this matter is that all that seems to be happening and connected to this process is a sham, choreographed, put together to advance only the interests of one man, and that is Lusaka-Sunday. We want to appeal to Mr. Musamba and also the judiciary under the leadership of Chief Justice Mumba Malila, that everything we do, we all do that representing the wishes and will of the people of Zambia. The ultimate authority of those in the executive, the ultimate authority of those in parliament, the ultimate authority of those in the judiciary is the people of Zambia. And we can only say as Patriotic Front that our confidence and belief in the resolve of the Zambian people to do the right thing can never be altered by any form of either manipulation, omissions, or indeed any maneuvers that suggest to be pushing a narrow agenda. At the end of the day, the will of the people will prevail today and in 2026. And further guidance will be provided as we move forward. For today, we condemn the acts of Graphael Musamba. He has no right to stop anybody to either plan or indeed to go and attend the court proceedings if they so wish. What he's attempting to do, the over 600 to 1,000 police officers that have been coming in Lusaka, and all those arrangements are illegal. They are not permitted in a democratic society. The police are called upon not to infringe on the rights and freedoms of the citizens, but they are supposed to protect those rights and protect every citizen, especially when they are participating in a democratic process. Going to court is one of the rights and freedoms that the Zambians must enjoy, and they must be able to follow all the proceedings so that the rule of law prevails in a country that calls itself a democratic country. Thank you very much. But before we conclude, Ambassador Mumba, please speak to the report on human rights.
Thank you very much, SG, and thank you for those remarks. The Secretary General will likely come back to you for clear instructions of what happens on Tuesday. As he has stated, they are looking at this statement by the Chief Justice to allow this broadcast live. As you've heard, the contempt laws are still in place. No amendment has taken place. And the decision by the Inspector General of Police to exclude and seclude the Supreme Court grounds and attendant matters. So the SG will come for firmer instructions tomorrow. Either he will speak, the vice president may speak, or the president of the party may speak, but we'll come back to you tomorrow. Thank you, SG. The US does issue a country report every year. It's a report on human rights practices for countries that they support financially. You are aware that the United States government supports the Zambian government from time immemorial, sometimes up to a tune of $700 million a year. So it's mandatory by Congress and their laws that they have to look at the human rights practice and the governance practice of that country. So the report for 2023 has just been issued. It has been issued by the United States Department of State, Bureau of Democracy on Human Rights and Labor. This is a 2023 report. We'll provide a link for you to see, and it's very damning on Zambia. The 2022 report was very bad on our country. And remember, this is a President Nakacinda, who came, on the pretext that he will support rights and freedoms, that will advance democracy, that will promote good governance. The report has detailed the abuses that took place in 2023. They were arbitrary and unlawful killings. They were extrajudicial killings. This is in our country. There was practice of torture and cruel treatment. There was inhuman and degrading treatment. Then there's been an emergence of serious restrictions on freedoms, rights, and including the perpetration using violence by the state. There has been extreme censorship, especially for the media and public broadcasters. They've condemned, the report has condemned the continued use of criminal defamation libel. Honorable SG is a victim of criminal libel. We are all victims of this law on libel. You even have government officials, for example, such as Claes Onamasaka taking Savoy Imboila to court that he's been libeled criminally. Or you have a case of Auditor General taking Thomas Ziambo to the police on criminal libel. Criminal libel is part of what they condemn. This law should not exist on our statute. And would like also to comment just briefly of what happened on Friday in Parliament. We are glad that first our members of Parliament raised the issue regarding the cyber crimes bills that they were trying to bring into Parliament. We are glad to the civil society. Civil society is literally dead. But somehow we saw 4 major organizations from civil society that included MISA rise and demand that these bills be taken away. So there was an amendment, Bill number 24 that attempted, Bill number 24 of 2024 that attempted to amend Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes Act of 2021 to stiffen the law on hate speech, to increase the punishment to 20 years for whoever will be found with hate speech. There was another bill that was brought to Parliament, the Cyber Crimes Bill number 30 of 2024. This was a brand new law, totally brand new law. And again in here, they wanted to provide, under the pretext that they're protecting private rights of individuals. And again, there were a lot of things regarding social media. Even just sharing a message, publishing a message would attract 2 years imprisonment. Even someone deleting any message on social media would attract this 2 years. So we are glad that under pressure, this government buckled. And we saw the announcement by the Minister of Home Affairs and Interior Affairs withdraw these 2 bills. We are, however, not happy that the Minister promised that these bills will be coming back to Parliament. This is totally unacceptable. It's part of the erosion of our democracy. And I think for those few remarks, SG, we would like to say thank you for all those that joined us. We have talked about these matters. We'll be back tomorrow as we speak to the issues regarding the delivery of the judgment in the eligibility case and the decisions that have been made, and what our party will then decide, the leadership and the party will decide on these matters. So God bless you, happy Sunday, and God bless our country.